Hello guys, in this video we are going to create this random choice picker. So we can enter different choices here, so which is separated by comma. So choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, and when pressing enter it randomly goes through all the choices and at the end selects a particular choice. So this is just a small project, and we can create like unlimited kind of thing. So this is taken from the 50 projects in 50 days course by Travesty Media. That is details for the course is in the description. Do check that out. So let's get started with the video. We are using the same template that we were previously using. The link on how to create this template is in the cards. You can check that out. We are using a live server to load the website, so that whenever we save here, it dynamically loads it here on the browser. So let's start with adding a title here. So we'll do random choice picker, and in the body we'll wrap everything in a container, and in the container we'll add an h3 tag which has the text that was here. So enter all the choices, and in order for this to go to the new line, we'll add a break tag as well. Save it. You can see that that's here. Then we'll add a text area with the ID of text area, and we do not want any name or anything, so we'll remove that because we'll change everything in the style. And we'll add a placeholder here and enter the choices and 3 dots. So we'll save that. Now the text area is here. We'll also need a div with the ID of tags for all the tags that we are loading below, and in the tags there will be a span with tags. So these tags will be dynamically added in the JavaScript. So we are creating this now for styling purposes. So we'll copy this and paste it multiple times so that we have something to work with here. Choice 2 and choice 3. So all those choices have been added here. So that's all we need in the HTML. Now let's begin the style. First we'll just change the font here, and we'll change the font to blue, and we'll change the font family as well. Okay, we'll add a background color. So in the demo there it was something like blue, so we'll give it a value of blue, and since it's too dark, we'll hover here and make it a little more light here and save that. And now let's take the h3 tag here. So h3, and we'll make the color white, and we'll align it to the center, and we'll add a margin for it as well. We'll give 10 pixel top and bottom, 0 pixel left and right, and 20 pixel bottom. Okay, now let's style the container. So we'll give it a width of 600 pixel. Okay, now let's style the text area, and we'll give it a width and height property. So we'll give width as 100%, and and we'll give a height of 100 pixels. So now the text area is there. We want the font family to inherit. We'll increase the font size. And we'll add a padding to it as well. Also, we do not want the border. So that's with the text area. Now let's style the tags here. Tag. So tag is basically class. So we'll tag. We'll add a background color. So in the demo it was something like orange color, so we'll give it a value of orange, and we'll add a padding to it. So we'll add 10 pixel top and bottom and 20 pixel left and right padding. Also to the text area we'll add a margin. So in the margin we'll add 10 pixel top margin, 0 pixel left and right, and 20 pixel bottom margin. And in the tag we'll add a border radius of 50 pixel. So it's kind of rounded. Then we'll add a color of white. It's looking better. Also we'll give it a property of inline block, so display inline block. And when this div is highlighted, we want the change in background color. So in the demo you saw that when it was highlighted it had a dark blue color. So when the tag has a class of highlight, we want the background color as dark blue. So in order to see that here, we'll go into the HTML and add the class manually. So now you can see that there is a dark blue choice. So that's all for the HTML and CSS. Now we'll do all the JavaScript to make it all function properly. So we'll remove this spans here and we'll create these tags dynamically in the JavaScript and save that. So now let's open JavaScript. So the plan here is first to get when something is added to the text area, when text is added to text area, and when the text is added and it is comma separated, so make the text into an array and make every element of an array into a span. So that's how we'll get the span tag here. So first let's do this part. So this is basically creating of tags. So first we'll get the text area. We go to document dot get element by ID, and we want the ID of text area, and we'll add an event listener. So text area dot add event listener, and the event we are listening to is key up. So when the key is pressed and released, that's when this function will be called. And in this function we want to create the tags, so we'll call a tag, we'll call a function, call it create tags, and we'll create that function down below. Create tags, and in this function basically we want the input that is here. So we can get the input by the event parameter, which is in this listener. So get the event parameter, we will add an event to the parameter here. So to get it as an input to this function, we will pass the event dot target dot value. So this gives the value that is in this text area. So that will be passed as an input parameter here. So when we save that, and let's console this to see what we are getting in the function. So console the input, and now let's take the console, and when we type something, we can see that it is loading in the console. So we are getting that input here. Now we want to find a way to convert this input, which is a text, into an array. So first part we have done, we have get the text in the text area, and now we have to make the text area into an array, which is, since this is comma separated. So the way we can do it is we create a variable called tags, and we can split this text based on the comma. So when we split based on comma, we get an array of each individual values. So the way we can do that is input dot split, and we give it a value of comma. So now let's console the variable tags. So now when we type something, it's in an array, and when we comma separated, we can see that it's creating new elements in the array. So when I add a comma here, so it automatically creates a new element here. So if we keep on adding comma, it just creates empty string. So we do not want that. We want to add only if something is in that. So we do not want empty strings there. So we have to remove that. So the way we can do that is using an array method called filter. So filter is an array method in JavaScript, and we can filter out the tag which do not have any characters in it. So we'll get the tag here, and when we do tag dot trim, and if it is not equal to an empty string, we want that in the tags array. If it is empty string, we do not want that. So when we save that, and now if we see it, if we put say 1 comma, it is not creating a new tag, new element in the array. So even if we put 100 comma, it will still be a single element, since there is no data in there. But now if we put 1 comma, and when we put space, there is nothing. But when we put 1 and space, it adds the space at the end. And if we put comma here, you can see that the second character has a space in there. So we want to remove that as well. So we'll use another array method called map, and in the map we'll return the tag, and we'll just trim it. So this will just remove empty spaces at the end of the character. So if we put 1 comma, 2 commas, 2 and space, that space won't be there, and it will be trimmed out. So we have fixed that. Now we want to take this array which is forming here, and we want to create the tags here. The way we can do that is by looping through this array. So we'll do tags dot for each, and for each tag we want to create an element, and we want to create an element called span, and in the we'll call this a variable, call this in a variable called tag, or we'll just put it as t. So we'll add a class to the t. So t.classList.add, and we'll add the class of tag so that it's properly styled. Add this t to this div, which is the div of tags. So we'll get that here. So we'll copy that and paste it here, and we'll tags element, and we'll get the id by tags, and we will do tags dot append, and we'll append the t inside it. But t doesn't have any text now, so we'll add that as well. T dot inner text equal to tag. So now when we do so it's appending multiple times, so we want to remove what's appended before. So before for each, what we'll do is tags l dot inner html equal to empty string. We'll save that. Now when we do 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma, so it's taking space. There is less margin here, so we'll just add that as well. So in the tag we'll add margin property, and we'll add 0 pixel top and bottom and 5 pixel left and right, so there is sufficient space there. So we'll come back to the script. So now you can see all the tags that are created. Now so all these 3 steps have been completed. Now when we press the enter here, we want the selection to take place. So how can we do that? We want to know when the enter is pressed. Then when the enter is pressed, we want to show switching animations to randomly pick the choices here, or pick the tags here. So randomly pick a tag for some time, and when that time is over, we want to pick and stay at a particular tag for final showing. So these 3 things have to be done. So to get if the enter has been pressed, the way we can do that, in the event listener for the text area, we can add if event dot key was enter, then we can console as enter is pressed. So we can see if that's working. So when the enter is pressed, we can see that enter pressed is there. So when the enter is pressed, this function is called. When the enter is pressed, we want to remove the text from here. So we'll set a timeout, and we'll give a timeout of 10 milliseconds. And when the 10 milliseconds happen, we'll clear the text here. So what we'll do is we'll do event.target.value equal to an empty string, and by this way the the enter is pressed, after 10 milliseconds the text will be cleared out. And we also want to randomly select one of the tags here to show kind of like an animation. So we'll create a function that will be called here to select the random tag. So we call a function called random select, and at the end of this page we'll create that function as well. So random select function, we have to randomly pick a tag for some tag first. So to do that, first we'll create a variable of how many times that animation has to be shown. So let's go with 30 times. So when we press enter 30 times, it will toggle between each other. At what interval it should show. So we'll give it a value of int, and we'll give it a value of 100 milliseconds. So for within 100 milliseconds it will switch between one choice to another. The way we can do that is using an set interval. So we'll create an interval, and we'll create a set interval function here, and the time for this is int. So every int time, every 100 milliseconds, this function will be called. So in this function we want to randomly select a tag, and we want to highlight it, and then we want to unhighlight it, so that it gives an illusion of randomly selecting. So we need to first randomly select a tag. So randomly select a tag. So const random tag equal to pick random tag. So this is the function, and we write that function here. So function pick random tag, and in this function we want to get all the tags that are here. So way we can do that is const tag document dot query selector all, and we want to select the class of tag, and this will return a node list, and we want to return a random tag from here. So we will do return, and from the tags, which is a node list, we will randomly pick a number. So we'll do math.floor of math.random into tags.length. So math.random creates a random number between 0 and 1, but it is less than 1. So this gives the count of the span, and when it's multiplied by the random number, it creates a random number, and when using floor, it is created into an integer, and when it's passed through this tag of that integer, it will give a particular tag as an output. So we'll get a random tag here, and from what we want to do next is we want to highlight and unhighlight tag. So highlight unhighlight. So in order to highlight, we want to add the highlight class to the tag, and the way we can do that is we can just write a function for that. So we'll do highlight tag, and we'll pass the tag here, and in the tag we'll add tags class list. We'll add the class of highlight. and to to unhighlight, we'll just remove the class. So to unhighlight, we'll remove the class of highlight, and here in order to highlight, we will do highlight tag and we will pass the random tag, and we want to unhighlight after a particular time. So we'll write a set timeout for that as well. So we'll add a set timeout, and the timeout here is the int tag or the integer interval that we have set here, and when this interval happens, we want to unhighlight the random tag. So we'll call the unhighlight function and pass the random tag in there. So now when we save that and pass random choices and press enter, it selects and it highlights and unhighlights, and it will go on forever as there is nothing written to stop this function here. So let's write a way to stop this and select one particular choice from this. So let's just refresh it here, and in the random select function itself, below the interval that we created to show this animation, we'll create another timeout function. So it will be called only after a particular time, and that time is this int that is multiplied by the times. So when this many times this has been run, this function will be called, which is in here. So in this function, we want to stop this animation. So to stop this interval, we have a function called clear interval. We'll pass that this interval here. So when we pass it 30 times, this thing will be stopped. But we do not when we stop it, we want it to highlight a random tag. So we'll copy this from here, and we'll write a set timeout here inside this as well, and we want it to happen after the int, and we'll paste it here. So what happens is when this function is called, this thing will happen for 30 times, and when this 30 times happens, this function will be called, and in this function this clear interval is there which will stop this highlighting, and after an interval, this function this function will be called, which picks a random choice at the end. So let's save that and test it here. So we'll 1, 2, 3, and when we press enter, it finally picks a choice. So this is a fun little experiment / tool when we have some doubts and we want to pick a winner, and we want it to be random, and so we can use this tool to randomly pick a choice from it. So I hope you learned something from this video, and we try to keep it as close to the original as possible. So if you did learn something, do let me know, and thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next one.